المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. وقل رب زدني علما. قال الإمام النووي رحمه الله تبارك وتعالى ونفعنا بعلومه في الدارين. قال وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم دينار أنفقته في سبيل الله ودينار أنفقته في رقبة ودينار تصدقت به على مسكين ودينار أنفقته على أهلك أعظمها أجرا الذي أنفقته على أهلك. رواه مسلم. Allahu Akbar. So continuing with the chapter which we began yesterday with the spending upon one's family members, women folk, children, etc. So yesterday we heard a few ayats from the Holy Quran in this regard. The first hadith in this regard is the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, who states that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that a dinar of course was the coin when people were using actual real money that had value. Now we float around pieces of paper which are actually valueless, but in those days there was gold and silver which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually engineered for this purpose. So dinar was the gold coin and dirham was the silver coin. So in that regard, Nabi ﷺ is mentioning a dinar which is spent in the path of Allah, in the campaigns, in the battles of Islam, for whatever purpose, to promote the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any way, shape or form that would be considered in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fi sabilillah. And a dinar spent fi raqaba, a dinar spent for the emancipation of slaves, which was, as we've mentioned several times, slavery was something worldwide, it was a global phenomena, and it was now very constricted in Islamic Sharia, and the avenues for freeing the slaves, which was highly recommended and was promoted, were many. And so, therefore, it's a very highly virtuous act. And so a dinar spent in that regard, freeing the slaves, and a dinar and a gold coin which is spent to saddaqta bihi ala miskin, that you would spend for the sake of a poor person, needy, and a dinar that you spent on your family. So these are various ways in which you can spend in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the path of Allah, to emancipate the slaves, to spend on a poor and destitute, and to spend on your family. So which is going to be more auspicious in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So Nabi alayhi salatu mentioned أَعْظَمُهَا أَجْرًا, the most grand in reward and the most magnificent and magnanimous in reward and compensation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be that dinar which you spent on your family. Why? Because spending on one's family is a wajib, it is a fard, and as the Hadith Qudsi says, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something to this effect, that my slave does not come close to me with anything more beloved by me than that which I have made compulsory, fara'id, fard salat, fard zakat. And so spending upon and looking after the sustenance and the spending for the welfare of one's family is a wajib. It's a compulsory act, and so therefore the amount spent in that is going to be higher in status and therefore greater in reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now some of our brothers, they have a kind of a misconception. Sometimes they are very lax in their responsibilities to their family, but they're very generous in other good works. So being generous in good works is not to be discounted. There's every dinar spent in the path of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will magnify it, multiply. But the expenditure on your family is more critical. Therefore, if you have only enough for your family or someone else, not both, then the first will be ibda biman ta'ud. Begin with the one whom you are responsible for, whom you are bound by Sharia to provide for. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding and the tawfiq for implementation. Amin. Amin wa akhir da'wana.